Welcome to ClueCon Weekly. Join us every Wednesday to learn about the latest cutting-edge developments in the real-time communications industry. ClueCon Weekly is brought to you by FreeSWITCH Solutions. Get support and professional services directly from the creators of the FreeSWITCH open source project, solving your issues in the most efficient, stable, and scalable way possible. Get the FreeSWITCH advantage. Visit freeswitch.com. Also brought to you by ClueCon, the premier technology conference for developers by developers. Join us every summer in Chicago. ClueCon kicks off on Monday with our annual hackathon, The Coder Games, followed by 3 days of technology-rich presentations discussing telecom, WebRTC, and IoT from developers around the world. To learn more, visit ClueCon.com or call 877-74-A-CLUE.
And welcome to ClueCon Weekly. Today is the 28th of November, and this week we're going to have SC Lee from Polycom joining us. For you guys that don't know SC, he is been around the endpoint market for many years. He's got experience in, he was most recently part of the OBI acquisition for Polycom, and so that means he's done ATAs, phones, and he was with the OBI team for quite a while, going all the way back to the early days of that team working together with things like the old Cisco ATA 186 and even the widely used PAP2 those guys designed. So stand by for that. He's going to be showing us some really cool stuff with Polycom VVX phones with their new OB firmware. It's stuff you're really going to want to check out. So hang out for that. We'll get back to that in just a few minutes. Let's go over and talk to Miss Abby for the news. Abby, how are you doing today, ma'am?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Hi, everybody, and thank you again for joining us today on ClueCon Weekly. We have a bit of news today. So one of those things is we are very appreciative of the FreeSWITCH community. So we have been offering $50 in credit for all new SignalWire registrations. I can provide a link in the YouTube comments, or you can just go to our SignalWire website to sign up with a space, and you can use the code FreeSWITCH31337 to get that free $50 in credit. So this is good for about 2 more weeks. So I'm going to put that information in the comments so that you can find it easily. Also, if you haven't heard yet, we are now on Slack. We are very, very excited about it. Of course, you can still contact us through the mailing list and through IRC, but if you are interested in joining this FreeSWITCH community Slack channel, you can find a link to that on our Facebook page, and I will provide that information in the comments as well. A lot of people are joining it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way to get advice or help on the project you're working on, or just chat with the team and other people in the community. So there's lots of good reasons to join that channel. Of course, as always, if you have any questions during this call for any of us, please feel free to comment those in the YouTube, IRC channels, the new Slack channels we have, and we are going to try to answer those live during this call. So our next FreeSWITCH training is coming up pretty quick. It's on Thursday, December 18th. So if you're interested in an in-depth beginner-level training, you can find more information on that on our website. And of course, again, that is on Thursday, December 18th. And as always, make sure you save the date for ClueCon. Mark your calendars. Don't book anything else during that time. We are back in Chicago on August 5th. Through August 8th. So I hope to see you there. This is our 15th anniversary, and I promise it's going to be extra special. So if you haven't been in a while, this is the perfect time to start up the old habit. All right, hopefully I'll see everybody there, and back to you, Ken.
All right, thank you very much, Abby. So next we're going to go over to Mike Mavrudas for Community Corner. Mike, who do you have for us today?
So today we have a question from the FreeSWITCH mailing list, and Mike Jarris is going to answer it. The question is from Yuri Nasida, and from the FreeSWITCH FreeSWITCH users mailing list. And he says, "Hi guys, I was very glad to know that Debian 9 is supported officially by the FreeSWITCH team, and did some tests. Unfortunately, I noted a lot of ODBC problems with Debian 9. FreeSWITCH is not the reason, but I would like to ask other community members how they solve such problems. A lot of FreeSWITCH modules cannot work with Postgres directly, like mod LCR, for an example. And this is why I cannot just stop to use ODBC. Which issues, question mark? Well, the first of them is ODBC PostgreSQL. In this case, I try to reach pSQL 10. Please look below. And then there's some error messages. Second issue is with MySQL Percona. I suppose everyone knows that libmysql doesn't exist in Debian 9.
Whoa, did we lose Mike?
We lost him. All right.
Oh, we lost. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll-
I think you know what he's talking about, right, Mike?
I do. So the good news is, in spite of the fact that I went and looked at the docs and they don't seem to actually give a good explanation of this, native Postgres support in FreeSWITCH is supported in mod LCR and pretty much anywhere else that you can set an ODBC DSM. So if you, just like you would in the core, do PGC colon / and then the pointer to your Postgres database there, the same syntax you would where you put the DSNs in the core, it will use the core native Postgres support. And that should solve all of your issues there. As far as access to MySQL, I've got nothing for you. We never use it. We're a Postgres shop and don't really make any use of MySQL when we can avoid it. But there's a core database abstraction inside of FreeSWITCH. It supports the embedded SQLDB, which is SQLite based. It supports ODBC and it supports Postgres natively. So just go ahead and do PGSQL colon / in the path to your database, and that should all work. As far as what to do with MySQL and Debian 9, I got no answers for you. Sorry.
I can make a little comment on MySQL and Debian 9, Mr. Jarris.
Go shoot.
So for you guys that are using MySQL and Debian 9, for the ODBC stuff, while it may not be in there, there are MySQL libraries. What you may have to do is look around a little bit, because FreeSWITCH itself doesn't care about which ODBC driver you have, because FreeSWITCH for ODBC is just programmed to the OBDC, you know what I'm saying, interface. So you can find whatever drivers you want for the DB side of ODBC, install those on your insert whatever platform box you have here, and FreeSWITCH will still leverage those via the standard DSN mechanism. So as far as Percona goes, the clients for Percona are the same thing as the MySQL library clients anyway. So it doesn't matter, Percona, MySQL, Maria, they're all the same client. There are some differences in the versioning, but I mean, they're all backwards compatible. So just keep on going with that, and you'll be good. So, Mr. Mavrudas, and then you got anything else to add to that, Jarris?
Nope, that's what I got.
All right, cool. Thank you, Mr. Jarris. Mavrudas, are you back with us?
Yes, I'm back in.
Oh,
So sorry about that. I don't even know. I didn't know where in the question it actually stopped. But yeah, so there was multiple problems there, right?
mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so today we have SC Lee from Polycom. And SC Lee is going to be doing some, to Abby with BlogStop.
Oh. That's okay. I was just going to chat really quickly about iPhones. So it is the holiday season. The new iPhones just came out recently, and Black Friday and the holiday seasons are upon us, and that means everyone is buying lots of new tech. So we are going to really quickly today explore the legend of the frozen iPhone. So it seems that every time a new iPhone comes out, in this case it's the XS and the XR, the old models seem to slowly sink into the dark abyss of death. And the question is, has Tim Cook crafted a master plan to get the masses to update their smartphones? A lot of people think so, and you know what? It might be true. But first, we have to explore this idea of an urban legend. This is actually a very long-standing example of technology folklore. People have been commenting on this issue for many years, and on September 21st, 2017, so last year, a blog post actually claimed that Harvard University did a study that proved that Apple slows old technology on purpose as a ploy specifically to sell the newer models. The claim that Harvard wrote this study has been proven very false, but even though it's not true, the article has been shared over 270,000 times. Of course, Harvard never did any study similar to this. The blog is actually referring to a very casual study done by a student, not the university, who used Google Trends to find a correlation between the sale of new iPhones and the Google search for iPhone slow. We all know correlation is not causation, but it's still interesting data nonetheless. And if Apple is actually puppet mastering a large-scale con, we don't have any definitive proof, at least not yet. In fact, a benchmarking software company named FutureMark has done tests on the CPU performances of the iPhone 5S through the iPhone 7, so a little bit behind on the models, but the data still proves what they're trying to show. They found that smartphones actually maintain the same CPU performance that they start with, even after the next iPhone has been released. So FutureMark's test also found that the processing chips in the iPhone 5S, which was released back in 2013, performed just as well running iOS 11 as it did running iOS 9, which was released in 2015. So two updates 2 years apart. They also continued these studies, and they found the same results for the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6S, and iPhone 7. Yeah, I'm getting to that. Okay, so the truth is, hold on one second. I lost my spot, sorry. Thanks. Okay, so, Apple isn't planning a large-term conspiracy to literally make your iPhone fall apart. There are some true things that they have been sneaking past us in terms of business decisions. So it's not quite a large-scale conspiracy, but there are a couple things that they do to convince us to buy the new iPhone. So it's usually, there's two things it leads back to. One is the iOS updates. Whole numbered updates are usually released alongside with the newest iPhone models. So for example, iOS 11 was released on September 19th, 2017, and iPhone 8 and 8 Plus were released 3 days later on September 22nd. So the newest version of iOS contains features designed to work with hardware in the newest iPhones, which is usually why older iPhones slow down in time with the release of the newer models, which means that if you are getting newer updates on your older iPhone, it simply cannot handle it and it starts to slow down. The rest of the slowing also leads back to your applications. Apple is very unique because of the large number of third-party software that runs on the phones. So in order for the 1.3 million apps that Apple has in its App Store to keep running, developers need to continuously update them in order for them to work with the newest software and the newest hardware. So Apple provides developers with tools and APIs that support the latest version of iOS in order to push them to design apps that work on their newest models and focus less on their older models. So this is also another reason why your iPhone may be slowing down. we also have the fun little tidbit of their batteries. So Apple actually has admitted that they slow down the computer, the CPU power, as the battery gets older to make the battery last longer. So while this necessarily isn't exactly ethical, it's not exactly, it's not the pure evil that we wish they were. It kind of makes sense, you know, like the more CPU you're running due to the nicer updates, the more battery it's going to suck up. But we all know that when the new iPhones come out, your battery lasts slower, and they're very aware of this fact. They just see it as helping you instead of hindering you. So I'll let you decide whether or not that's ethical or not. No comment. So there are a couple of reasons why your iPhones are slowing. It's the new updates, the apps, and these batteries. Another reason is actually psychological. They've done studies that say that when everybody sees the newest updates coming out, they get really tired with their old phone. Kind of a FOMO situation, fear of missing out. They wish that they had the newest model. Another question people always ask is, what about my Samsung Galaxy? You guys have slowing iPhones, but even though Samsung Galaxies update all the time, my phone never slows down. That's actually not true. You just don't notice it as much. iOS updates are released to everybody at the same time for Apple, but Android updates hit different phones at scattered times. So the same concept still holds, but you don't notice it as much because it doesn't happen to everybody at the same time. So is Apple running a conspiracy? Maybe, kind of. I would call it a half conspiracy, but I would love to know what you think about the batteries and the updates. So if you have any comments, you can comment them in the YouTube channel or tweet us and we could talk about it some more. That's all I have for today. Back to you guys.
All right, we're going to get Michael and SC in here. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
Good.
well. And how are you?
So I just want to say, if it is a conspiracy, it's a multi-billion dollars conspiracy, right? And probably just smart business on their end. So today we have a different hardware manufacturer that doesn't do stuff like that. Right, SC?
Yes, we don't do stuff like this. I mean, you know, we'll continue to cherish customer experience and make sure that, you know, they get the best value for what they purchase.
So I understand you have some really amazing announcements, new products coming out, right? And you're going to do some live demos. We always love live demos because there's always that dangerous
great
demos.
To be a demo bot that everything will be working well today. Yes. So very excited to be here. You know, to kind of share with the FreeSWITCH community a new product that we actually just introduced less than 2 weeks ago. So this is fresh from the oven.
So what do you have for us?
Yeah, so let's get started here. So a quick introduction of myself. You know, kind of Ken and Mike kind of, you know, briefly introduce myself. I've been in this industry for many years now, starting back from the Sakura days to building one of the first ATAs for the consumer space, and to now building the next best of breed endpoints in the industry. So what I'd like to introduce today is what we call the OBI Edition of the Polycom VVX phones. As many of you are aware, Polycom has always been known for the best legendary audio experience, right? Every huddle rooms that you walk into, every conference room that you walk into, you see this signature boomerang phone from us, right? That has the best acoustic. That same acoustic is available across all our desktop phones. And with the
let me ask you a question. Why is it so much better than all the competitors? What gives it that higher level of acoustic ability?
Absolutely. So the number one is, as you guys are aware, DSP, right? We call it digital signal processing. That is key. And we have a great team based in San Jose that, you know, have been building this DSP engine for the last 20 years or so, right? And it is a what they call a continuous improvement process, right? Given that we were one of the first one in the market, we receive a lot of data to continue to optimize our DSPs, right? To be able to do full duplex audio is not an easy task, right? To make sure that when I'm talking, if anyone talks at the same time, and to make sure that I'm able to cancel all the echo all within less than 300 milliseconds, combine that with all the noise cancellation technology that we have in place, right? As you guys are aware, we have a technology called acoustic fans, another one called the noise block. Acoustic fans, it's available on all these desktop phones, right? The fact that we're able to take from the microphone of the desktop phone all the noise and unnecessary interference and cancel that off before we send that data out to the opposite end, right? So to answer your question, it's a combination of all the DSP intellectual property that we build up over time, right? We invest heavily in acoustic. If you have a chance, come visit our San Jose building, and you will see all these chambers, right? All this, fake humans with, handsets, acoustic rooms that we use just to pound the phone and make sure that our DSP engine is working to its perfection. Mike, are you still there? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you, SD. We might have lost Mike. He seems to be having a little bandwidth issue today. He's got a new office. He's got a new office. So go ahead and let's get back to the X50 series where you were. Yeah. Yep.
So let me jump straight in. So again, my goal today for the next half an hour is a couple of things. Number one, give the team here or the FreeSWITCH community an overview of what OBI Edition is. And number two, I'm going to actually dive into the product and show you what are some of the customization features on the phone, right? And hopefully by the end of this session, you guys will be geared with all the different tidbits and examples on how to go in and customize the phone to the way you like, right? So to kind of sum it up, what is the VVX X50 OBI Edition, right? It's combining the Polycom legendary hardware experience with the OBI unparalleled software capability, pricing at the right price point and making it available for everyone, right? So if you look at this set of phones, all the way from the 150 all the way to the 450, you'll be able to buy this for less than $200 in the market, right? For a VVX 250 that you see on the second phone on the right, it's a gigabit Ethernet, 4 lines, colored screen, USB port. That is in the market for sub 100s, right? So really, really affordable phones for you guys to try it out. So what does the software, OBI software gives you, right? Number one is the unparalleled flexibility. This is really key, right? We see a trend in the market where users are making phone calls on their soft phone that sits on the PC, on an app that sits on the iOS or on the Android phones, right? And majority of the time, the experience on those two applications are similar. You see a DNA, right? The color, the fonts, the soft keys, and etc. But for the longest time, if you go to a desk phone, that experience is kind of disjointed from the first two that I highlighted. With the OBI software, we now allow you to take that same DNA, the icons, the colors, the fonts, the background screen, and now bring that to the desktop phones, right? So for any users out there, they now have this one consistent experience across the 3 different platforms that users are leveraging for unified communication. Number one, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time on that just in a little bit. Number two is cloud management. That is ultra important, right? Every phone that you buy today with the OBI Edition of VVX phones, they will automatically call back to our cloud, which allows any users, any service provider to easily manage the endpoints, right? You could go in and set your configurations. All of them are zero touch enabled. So you just power it up, You don't have to you could pre-provision using a zero-touch platform. You could go in, reboot, capture Wireshark capture, do PCAP capture, all from the cloud. You don't have to be sitting in front of the phone. Number 3 is we believe in making it easy for users to iterate on the features and on the options on the phones. Right? For the longest time, most of the phones out there requires you to configure many of the settings via an XML config file. Put it in your provisioning server, have the phone fetch it, bam, you now see it. We believe in extending all that parameters onto the phone itself. So if you actually go into an OBI Edition VVX phones, you find that 2,000 plus parameters that you could just go in, change it, save it, and see the experience of the phone right away, instead of having to go in and say, hey, let me make the change on XML file, have the phone download, then experience it. And by allowing this, we believe we're going to enable a lot of developers out there to continue to experiment, and we believe experimentation will lead to the next innovations in terms of what you're able to do on the endpoint with a FreeSWITCH-based PBX solution. Moving to the bottom left is the value. I kind of highlighted that. Every single phone are cloud manageable. You could go in and do remote PCAP capture, Wireshark capture, you name it. And last but not least is the quality and the brand name, right? As you guys are aware, Polycom is a US-based company, and we have always been the trusted SIP endpoint in the market, right? So we deliver the consistent quality, we deliver a brand name, and if you look at the ecosystem that we support, we are the best of breed, right? We call ourselves the Switzerland of endpoints, right? We work with Cisco, we work with FreeSWITCH, we work with Genesis, Genband, you name it, right? We believe that we are the kind of the endpoint of choice for all the different ecosystem out in the market. So what are some of the key highlights of OBI Edition? I just took a few, and these are the few that I'll be actually showing some live demo on it, right? And of course, if you go to our website and take a look at our data sheets, you see hundreds of features and options that we highlight that is currently available on our OBI Edition. But I'd like to touch on this 10 to 12 items. Number 1, the OBI Edition is designed with extensibility and with modular architecture framework, right? So we don't believe in hard coding anything within the phone, right? If you go to our web page, if you go to our XML, you see that you could do a at XYZ, at caller ID, right? And we will actually expand those into variables that you'll be able to use to make the next decision, right? I think of this as the Legos of an IP phones, right? So we really believe in providing all the hooks, all the different Lego pieces, and allow the developers out there to go build the next experience with the desktop phones, right? Things like customizing your soft key, line keys, background screen, ringtones, right? You name it, right? And I'm going to show you guys that in a little bit. Cloud management, right? We are the only vendor that every phone gets shipped connected to what we call our PDMSSP, which stands for Polycom Device Management Solution for Service Provider. We also have a consumer version called the OBI Talk, right? So if you guys today are familiar with OBI Talk, you go to any consumer websites and purchase our ATAs or purchase our IP phones, go to OBI Talk, sign up. You could manage the endpoints even when you're sitting by the beach relaxing, right? Third item, fully programmable line and soft keys. Again, I'm going to be showing a demo on that, and a few slides down, I'll show you guys some details on it. Customizable line key windows and GUI menus. So if you go to the phone today, you see all these different menus, all these different labels, all these different font size. How do you go in and customize it, right? The last item is what I call screen item customization. So the way that we have designed our phone is this. Number 1, we are going to provide some very basic customization for you, right? So if you just want to go in and say, I want to change this icon on the line key, you could go to the phone web page, make a one-line change, save it, and you see it immediately. But if you want to go into more details, right, you want to be able to go in and say, if this, then that, if Ken calls, then do this. We have something what we call screen item customization, which allows you to go in and do some fancy stuff, right? You could go in and specify when that line key is selected, I want a blinking red, right? When I navigate to this other icons, right, I want the icon to be, animated, right? So if you want to do any of those, we have something called a screen item customization, which allows you to go through those. Line key pages, today on our VVX phone, we supports, as you guys are aware, 250 is 4 lines, 350 is a 6-line, and a VVX 450 is a 12-line phones. But we support a concept called multi-pages, which allows you to now page through multiple pages. Auto attendance for 2-stage dialing, media loopback, echo test, screensaver picture URL, push or pull of OBI XML application. So these are some of the high levels that I'll be walking through in this presentation today. So I have one slide just to show the hardware, right? And from that point onwards, it will just be purely the software discussions and live demos. So this is a VVX 450, right? So if you look at all our status icons, I'm going to start from left, moving myself all the way to the right. When it's ringing, it's animated icons, right? We have clear status indications of the line, right? Even the line itself. We have a 5-way navigation button, and you could use the left navigation button to toggle between pages, right? So let's say you are now on the main page, and you have a couple more pages that you have defined for BRF, call pickup, or speed dial. You now use the left navigation button to page across the second, third, and fourth pages, and on the right navigation button for you to page across, pages on the right. Our hot buttons are all programmable, right? So we have customers out there that basically say, hey, I have soft keys already, programmed to be a voicemail, a hold, and a transfer. Why don't I use these 3 buttons to be an emergency 911 call, right? Or a push to talk, right? Or a page, right? You could easily just go in and change that. You could go in and assign any of these buttons to be any other functions you want, right? You want to push a button, it goes to a phone directory. We allow you to do that. Push a button, it does a page. You can now program those buttons to do that. With all these line keys and multiple pages, we see one of the most common use is to define speed dial for it, right? So we're going to make that really, really easy, right? You could go to any unused key, press and hold that button, and it will now pop out and say, hey, what's the name? What's the phone number? And immediately now that key will be assigned a speed dial. So if I want to call Ken, I could just go to my phone, press a button, and bam, it will call Ken directly. Configurable LEDs, like I say, this phone is customizable from head to toes, right? And that includes the LED, right? We have red and green today. If you don't like the fact that when an incoming calls is flashing red, you could change that to flashing green and red, right? Program it to your needs and your user requests. Customizable line keys and soft key labels, right? So I'll show you guys that as a live demo. So virtual line key, this is huge, right? And the reason is, many customers out there, they want a phone with more buttons. They want to use the buttons for BRF, call pickup, and speed dial, but they don't want to go spend the additional $1 to go buy, a bigger screen with more physical buttons. So the way they were doing it on the VVX OBI Edition is that we're delivering it to the customer as a software option, right? So you could go in and say, hey, on the VVX 250, you have 4 hot physical line. I could now navigate right or navigate left to now change that to get 3 additional pages, right? So 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus your additional 4, you now get 16 lines for you to do BRF, call pickup, and speed dial, right? And you guys might ask, and I see with the so many virtual lines, how are you guys managing it from the user experience? So if you look at the top left of this menu, you see that 1, and then there's 4 different dots. Those are basically, pages. So as you're paging from page 1 to page 2 to page 3, that little dot will actually shift. And if there are events on a specific page, we will actually visually indicate via flashing red that there is an event on that page, right? So if for some reason you're monitoring Mike's line and you put it on page 3, if Mike's line is having an incoming call, it will show that. And on top of that, we allow you to program a unique ringtone or unique event notification for Mike or for Kent, right? So for the 16 lines, you could have different audio notification so that as a receptionist, you know, hey, that is Mike's incoming call. I want to make sure that I pick up immediately, right? So those are the things that we actually allow the customers to go in and program to make that experience better. Programmable soft keys and line keys, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. I know I'm going to leave about 15 minutes for live demo. So, and I'll show you guys this, right? So I'll show you guys how, with a very basic phones, right? And you see that all the time, right? You go to any offices, you see this phone, is that they have this large color screen, but it's not doing anything, right? How do you take that and make it fun, make it customizable to that the customer's brand, right? And that's what I'm going to show you guys to customize the soft key, the line keys. Screen item customization, we like to use this phrase. The OBI Edition is customizable to the pixel, right? So every single pixel is customizable, right? So if you look at the bottom right, it just gives you an example of all the different customization, right? You could go to the title bar, right? And customize the title bar, right? That is one area that I encourage everyone to utilize it. It's always sitting idle, not doing anything. You have the line key areas, you have the main menu, you have the soft key areas, right? How you want it positioned, how you want it shifted, how you want it labeled. The OBI Edition allows you to customize it, right? I mean, we have customers that perform customization that if you don't look at the physical hardware, it's like, wow, that is actually our phone, right? It just looks like a brand new UI with all this flexibility that we offer to our customer. All right, so let's go into some quick demos here. So before I jump into that, I want to give you guys some syntax that I'll be using today to customize line keys and soft keys, right? So don't get overwhelmed by this. We have all this very well documented in our admin guide, right? So many of you are probably already familiar with our OBI admin guide. Same information is there. Remember, the OBI Edition is basically taking the best of the OBI software. So whatever you get on the OBI 1000 series that you guys are used to, and they are available on this new set of hardware, but now with the Polycom brand and with the Polycom quality and Polycom legendary audio. So what are some of the customizable options, right? Here are some examples, right? So if you look at the line key, right? You have the line key and the soft keys. There's a background image. You could put a new background image on it. You could put a different background colors, right? You could define different width, different height. You could position it any angles you want, right? And some text colors. So let me jump straight into it, and I'll show you guys a quick demo here. And to do that, I'm going to, if you guys can look at my my screen here, it's kind of small here, but this is basically my phone that's sitting on my desk right now, right? So notice that this phone is very, very dull, right? I mean, I'm not surprised if you go to 70 to 80% of the phone deployments out there, this is what you see, right? They power up the phone, they get a dial tone, it's like, bam, I'm happy, right? It's a phone. But you have so many lines, right? I mean, you have this big color screen. Why not make use of it, right? So what I'm going to do is, number one, do some very basic things, right? Let's go in and change the background image, right? And we could also make the background image interactive, right? So to show you guys that, I'm going to first start off by showing you guys how to do that on the phone web page itself, right? So this is the phone web page, right? So as you guys can see, if you go through every single options, you could virtually go through thousands of different parameters on the OBI Edition phone, right? And again, that is our power, right? We believe in allowing developers to quickly make change, save it, and see the results on the phone itself. So for this example, I'm going to say, hey, let's go in and and change my background screen, right? So I'm going to go in, I have some background screen here. I'm going to have it pull from the cloud, right? So instead of pulling from the phone itself, I could actually specify a server. This could be HTTP or HTTPS, right? And given that I'm on a FreeSWITCH event, I'm going to specify a FreeSWITCH background screen, right? Okay, so this is all I need to do, right? I go in and specify this, submit it, right? The phone will take a quick reboot. Again, one of the value of our product is that the reboot takes less than 10 seconds, right? So if you go in and make any changes, it requires the phone to reboot within less than 10 seconds. You should see the phone boots up. And now if I go to the phone itself, bam, right? You see that I now have a FreeSWITCH background screen, right? Now it looks better, right? The value of our background screen is this is a live, right? So you can actually go in and push new background screen to the phone without disturbing the user's activity, right? So when the user is making a phone call, when the user is playing around the menu, you could go in and push a new screen to it. And the way we do it is via SIP notify, right? So let's say now I go in, I say, hey, you know what? Instead of this screen, I want to live change it to a different screen. So I'm going to live change it to this signal wire icon. So the way I'm doing it is I'm going to call a SIP notify to the phone. And right, so I'm here. And I'm going to go in and call a SIP notify. Right, and this is basically just a message, a SIP notify body that I'm sending to the phone to say, hey, I want you to actually refresh this background screen with a new image from my cloud, right? So if you look at here, this is where it's my HTTP server that's getting this. So when I fire this up, you should see this screen getting updated and the phone should get a new image live without disturbing the phone itself. Right, so you just grab a new image. Let me just kind of quickly refresh here. Bam, right? So the phone, without the reboot, just updated its background screen, right? So you might ask, what are some of the key values here, right? I mean, there are a lot of amazing features that you could do with this, right? You could throw marketing campaign. You could do background notification. Hey, it's Christmas, right? I'm going to do some Christmas theme, right? It's Halloween. Let's do some Halloween theme. Again, this is background image. I'm not talking about slideshows, right? So we also allow you to customize slideshows, right? So if you say, SC, when the phone is idle, I want the phone to go into a slideshow, right? And for this slideshow, I want it to fetch from a cloud a set of pictures, right? We also allow you to do that. So you could go in and specify a screen saver picture URL. And you could specify, different picture. You increment 1, 2, 3, 4, and then look back again. We actually will look at the cache timer. So depending on what the cache timer is set, we'll actually go in and refetch the data. So some other options we have is, this is the one called specify URL only. You could also say ITSP pictures only. And for this one, the way we're doing it is via a customization package, right? So for those of you that are not aware of our customization package, I highly encourage you guys to take a look at it. It's a tar file that we allow you to specify ringtones, background screen, slideshow image, fonts, right? When the phone boots up, right? You want signal wire to be the boot up screen, right? You specify those in a folder that we call, let me show you guys the folder, right? So that we call OB phone -beta, right? So if you look at here, you could go in and actually create different directories, tar this file, have the phone fetch this when it first boots up. So you go to auto provisioning, right? notice under auto provisioning, we have something called a phone customization package, right? What you need to do is package everything in there, do MD5 checksum, specify when the phone needs to fetch it. This phone will now grab all this customized data, and you will now be able to use all this content from the phone itself instead of having to fetch from the cloud via HTTP, right? So again, I highly encourage you guys to try that. For example, I have on this phone, I have one of the customization I have here is called ringtones, right? So I put a couple more ringtones in there. So if I go to my phone, make sure you can see this, right? So if I go to preferences, right? If you look at my ringtones, right, you notice that I have a couple more ringtones in here. I'm gonna drink a lot of beer and stay out all. Right, so you can actually go and make it fun, right? So you could go in and upload any ringtones you want via this customization package. Okay, so if you look at this phone, what I have here is the background screen is already customized. And since I'm on this phone menu, you might say, I see this phone menu, the icons, the display and everything, it's not what I want, right? In fact, I think I want context to be the first one, and I want to rename context to be addressed, right? How do you do that, right? We make it really easy for you to do that. No software change from outside. You just go in and make some configuration change. So for this case here, I'm going to go into phone settings. Notice that we have this option called GUI menus, right? In here, you see that we have calls, directory, call history. We want to say, hey, I want to move directories to the first option. And by the way, I want to call it something else. I want to call it context, right? So now when I save this, again, for this changes, the phone will need to take a quick reboot. You will see no, I shouldn't call it context. I should show it this primary contact. I'm going to say address, right? Submit it, save it. Phone will take a quick reboot, and when it comes back up, you should see context getting shift to the left. Current call will get shift to the right, and you see context being renamed to addressed. Once this is up here, so let me quickly show you guys this. Up, submit. Look at the menu, bam, right? See that I just updated that, right? That easy, right? So you could actually just go in and make changes to it from the web page. You might say, I want to actually change more, right? I want this icon to be an animated address book, right? I want a different background screen. Where do I go to change that, right? To change that, you go into what we call screen item customization, right? So remember, our strategy is we're going to enable some very common use case on a web page that you could go in and just make changes to it really fast. But if you want to go in and re-change the whole icons, you now will need to go visit our screen item customization. In this page, as you can see, we allow you to customize many things, right? When the phone is ringing, right? So an inbound call, let me show you guys this. So this is what I have for inbound call right now. Come on. Right? So as you can see right now, my inbound call is very, very I'm just going to end this call here. So as you guys can see, my inbound call right now that I just displayed is a very basic inbound call, right? If you want to go in and make it more wider, right? You want to make that dialog box bigger. You want to make that Gwyneth Paltrow picture bigger. You can now go in and just make those changes in here. When you're on the call, when you're transferring call, when you are in a directory, when you're screensaver mode, you want to change title bar, soft keys. This is where you come in and actually change that, right? So again, just to kind of quickly repeat, if you want to go in and change any of these icons, color, the size, you will need to come to our screen item customization. And this is where you need to go in and customize all these different options. For the interest of time, I'm going to show you guys a couple more things. I want to go in and change this line key to be more FreeSWITCH look and feel, right? So how do I do that? Again, let's start off with the very basic ones. if I need to go into more details, I will come back to the screen item customization. So to do a very basic line key customization, you go to this option called line key customization, right? So you could go in and say, hey, you know, I want to go in and rename my line key to FreeSWITCH demo. I want to have a font size of 20, right? Or I want to keep it as default. If I want, I could just leave it there, right? And I want this to be a FreeSWITCH icon, right? So, so I submit it. And now if I go to the left line key, notice that right now my left line key is looking like this, right? I want this little phone icon to be a FreeSWITCH icon. So the way I do is I go in and say, hey, you know, I have that group called group one. Now if I submit it, the phone will take a quick reboot. When it comes back up, you should see that FreeSWITCH icon on the top left. Again, it should back up in like a couple seconds here. There you go. Submit. See, notice that now I have a FreeSWITCH demo and there's a FreeSWITCH icon on it, right? So a very basic one. Again, you could go in and change the outside scheme to a different color by going to a screen item customization, right? So if I go to screen item customization, notice my line key here. I can do some fancy stuff and say, hey, text is black, align center. I want a background screen, and the ID is 1, right? So let me quickly show you guys that, right? So I could actually go in and do more. And so let's go to this left line key. I'm going to say, hey, I want to do more. I want you to apply that screen GUI customization. Let's see how it looks now. I'm going to quickly take a quick reboot. And when it comes back up, you should see this getting updated with different color screen and etc. on the line key. Again, I want to repeat all this that I just showed you guys is available on the there you go, right? So I just updated the line key to have a larger font. Notice that is now overriding. To have a different background screen, right? I put a little cloud screen behind it, right? So those are some demos. I know I'm top of my hour here. If time permits, I definitely would like to go deeper into it. But I hope this will give you guys a glimpse of all the different customization options of the itself, right? So what I just showed you guys is available on the soft keys, available on the background screen. You see the little clock there that's also customizable. When the phone is in the phone menu, you could also go in and customize all the different options there.
Well, and what's really cool
just a couple more slides and I'll kind of wrap it up here. Again, we do have great documentation. This is just one example that just kind of quickly walk you guys through the different options that you could go in and specify. Text color, the border, right, whether it's hidden. We do allow customization of LEDs. So you could go to our web page and say, hey, when the line is registered versus the phone, the incoming call versus transfer versus call park, right? I want a different blinking sequence. Go ahead and customize it. You know, I just kind of quickly show you guys all the different options. You know, here are just a quick glimpse on it. The bottom right is an example that we did, right? You could just go in and create more exciting things. We talk about customizing the phone menu, right? So you can actually go to the phone menu, anything that you don't think is important to put as a first option under menu, you could go in and shift them, rename them, delete them, right? So this is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is we have something called a dictionary file, right? So we allow you to upload the dictionary file to the phone upon the first boot up, and you could specify all these translations, right? Instead of network, you want to call it local network. You could change those as part of dictionary, and the phone will now replace everything that says network with local network within the whole phone structure. Last but not least, if time permits, I definitely want to dive into this. Maybe I'll come back again for the next talk to talk about the programmability of our products, right? We allow, you know, a push or pull, right, of OBI XML. And this is the way for us to keep the hardware cost on the product effective, right? Because we don't have the high CPU power that you get on an Android phone, right? But by doing this lightweight approach, we now allow all the customization and all the programmability that you like to see, right? For example, earlier on, I showed you guys a demo where I actually push a SIP notify to the phone and have the phone fetch a new background screen without even having to reboot the phone, right? With that, I'll kind of sum it up. I'd like to thank everyone for your time, and I hope you guys find this session useful. Back to you, Ken.
Oh, yeah. Hey, actually, before you get out of here, SC, one thing that I wanted to ask about is one of the things I noticed here is this firmware reboots way faster than, say, the 500, the old, Soundpoint 500s and stuff like that. That's like super impressive. I'm guessing that you guys were planning on it being that much faster.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of our sweet spot on the OBI software and OBI stack, right? We have always been known for fast boot up, fast reboot, and simply because the software is so modular, right, that it doesn't require everything to load, right? It's a modular approach. And easily double. I mean, right now it's less than 10 seconds. But on the some of our legacy VVX, yes, it is slightly longer. But it is our plan to make this transparent, right? For example, I just show you guys how to update background screen, right? In the future, we should make all this non-rebootable, right? You don't have to reboot the phone to take some of this software into effect. But even if you do, like I said, today is less than 10 seconds on the OBI Edition phone.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, I know going back, to say like the old, SPIP 500s or 501s. I mean, we used to, it's a joke. Okay, we got to reboot phones. Let's schedule a maintenance window because it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes, by the time you rebooted everything. But the VVX 450 here and the 250 rebooting that fast for you to be able to demo these kind of changes in real time. That's just saves so much.
Yeah. And again, we believe in allowing ease of experimentation, right? So we really think the next innovation is going to come from a phone that really makes it easy for developers to go in and experiment, play with it, right? Without having to say, hey, let me go get a cup of coffee and come back and see, hey, what's the result, right?
Right.
We believe when you make the change, you should be able to see the result in less than 10 seconds. So you could go in and iterate and keep optimizing it.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool stuff here. Now, we do have a question from Dan Jenkins. So Dan, does a lot of web dev and stuff like that. He's a super cool VoIP guy also. Now he's asking, are the docs for all these parameters easy to find and easy to get access to?
Yes, they are all available on Polycom.com today. And if you guys have access to our OBI phone admin guide, I would say 90% of parameters are the same, right? Everything that I show you guys today, that they are available on the OBI phone admin guide. But if you want the latest Polycom branded admin guide, they are available on Polycom.com. If you just go in and search on OBI Edition, you'll be able to find all the admin guide, user guide, provisioning guide, all updated to Polycom brand.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you very much, SC. Is there anything else you want to get in here today? We are running a bit short on time, but such cool stuff. I don't want to cut you off. If we
I could go on for hours. This is a very, very exciting time for us. Having the best brand with the best hardware now combined with, I consider, the most flexible and the best SIP IP phone software in the market. And we just announced this product 2 weeks ago. So we are going to do more sessions like this. It's our goal to make it easy for everyone to understand all the different functionality and capability on our products. There are a lot, right? Don't be surprised if even myself, I'm still learning some new stuff, right? My engineers like to surprise me, right? Which I like it, right? So don't be surprised when you guys are in there digging around, say, see, I found this little cool way of doing it, right? Share that with us, right? We really want to make this, kind of the sandbox for you to now take this, combine that with FreeSWITCH to deliver this amazing experience across all different vertical and horizontal market, right? Because we really believe that it's hard for us to give a couple of sample templates on the phone and have you go solve the pizza store, right? The food and beverage, the pharmaceutical, right? But by allowing all these easy hooks, we allow you to go differentiate, right? You buy the hardware, we give you all the hooks. You now build this very special way of doing it, and customers will always come back to you because you are the one that built that new look and feel.
Cool. Yeah, so I know you mentioned the OBI XML, so we're gonna have to get you to come back on before long and talk about that. I know we talked about it briefly yesterday. They've got some really cool stuff going on there. I would suggest that if you're going to deploy some VVX X50 series phones, that you should look at that because there's some really cool stuff in there. Like as he said, some hooks where you can do things like what do you do on a ring or what do you do on an answer, and the phone can ask your service for that. And we've been going so long today. I don't want to get everybody brain dead with all the good stuff because they won't get any work done. So, SC, thank you very much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. Mike Mavrutis, thanks for helping out here today. Everybody say thanks to Abby. She's always doing a lot of good work on giving us the latest info in technology in general. Don't forget, guys, Mike Jarris, Brian West, Anthony Minasali, and the rest of the team there cranking out FreeSWITCH. Don't forget SC and the rest of his team there at Polycom, working, with all those phones. You guys check those out. We've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up in the next, between now and the end of the year. We've got Anthony Minasali is going to be joining us here in a couple of weeks, talking about SignalWire and FreeSWITCH stuff that they've been working on. We've got several other guests coming, so watch out for those announcements on social media. All right, guys. We're going to let you all get back to work. Y'all have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, SC.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye now.
You've been watching ClueCon Weekly. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central. Keep up with the latest happenings by subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or visit us at freeswitch.com.